Okay, my name is Chris, and I have high-functioning Asperger's. I have Asperger's. I should redo the video. Just say it. But no qualifiers. I'll start from the beginning. This is very relevant to the channel. This is why I have the money to do the channel without needing it like the typical YouTuber. I started life and made money first, and then I got into YouTubing instead of using YouTubing as a way to make money. So there's differences that you notice, and I'm going to explain the reasons for it. And it's related to Asperger's, so I can put two things together. Explain why I'm different and why I review differently. And it's not better or worse, it's just different. The timestamps, the focus on specific parts, the unacceptance of vagaries like heights and widths, and which is fine for other people, but my brain doesn't really process that or accept it. It rejects it very strongly because it's non-specific, and I'm not okay with that. In a deep, I can't function in that manner. 13 years old, I think, was the time when I was first diagnosed with it. And it was a result of having lots of physical confrontations with other boys, fist fights. Usually it would be with larger, older boys, and maybe two or more. And that was okay, and it made me escape any kind of a penalty at the time, because people would say, you know, it's Chris, and he's 12 years old, and the other boys are 14, and there was two of them, and that got me by for a little while. But then the police started to recognize, we keep seeing this kid, and it's the same pattern. There's something wrong with him. Get sent to a hospital. If you're thinking, what the hell does this have to do with audio? How I review it has everything to do, so please pay attention. Plus there's a rant at the end of this video. So if you're a psychology student, you're watching a person with Asperger's explain it. I don't know if you've ever watched that video, but this might be good for you. It's good for everybody. And like I said, people that have watched my channel for a long time might be breathing a sigh of relief that this is out in the open and it's not being avoided by me for some unknown reason. And I don't know why I avoided it for so long. But I got stimulated by the purchase of this headphone. So I got diagnosed with it as a youth, as something that's on the autism tree. I rejected it. I didn't reject it. You don't reject it. I just didn't talk about it. But because I also, in the hospital, was administered a series of tests, including a legit IQ test, it gave hope to my parents that I was going to fulfill the dreams that they expected, and that was to go to Harvard University, like two people in my family had done prior. So they were alumni and would be able to get me in no matter what, pretty much. That's sadly the way that it goes when your parents or relatives go to a Ivy League school. Your chance of getting in are a little bit better. It's not an even playing field. Don't let anybody tell you that. I was a disaster of a young boy, and I still pretty much could have got in if I really wanted to. There were special things made for me to be in that spot. Like, that's the kind of pull that people have when they're alumni. So moving on from that, unable to fill my parents' dreams, I went to do my own thing and separated from my family because I was unable to live in the structure of their rules. So I wanted to make my own. I slept on a beach for a period of time and was happiest maybe I've ever been in my whole life, because it was the closest thing to pure freedom that I've ever experienced before or after. I had nothing, and I answered to nobody. And then I got into real estate, and this is where the money got made. The real estate that I was part of selling was average of 1.2 million in the first 6 months, and then it increased in value because I got better at what I did. And I was very, 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 very good at what I did on a national level as far as gross sales, for two reasons. One, because of me and what I did, and two, because the average value of the properties that were sold in Hawaii is, because it's Hawaii, it's very high. So when you take the gross total of properties sold, I was number one in ERA one year in the whole country. And I made a percentage of that and made a ton of money. And to compact this, I was eating ramen for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You know, the blue ones were fish, the brown ones were beef or pork, and the yellow ones were chicken. I was making tons of money, but I wasn't spending any of it because I was saving it, because I was thinking something was going to happen. And what happened was I sat in a jacuzzi with the daughter of the realtor, the guy that runs the real estate place. And she said, you ought to take that money and put it into real estate. Because stuff in Hawaii usually doubles in value over about 15 years if you're buying in the right spot. and it's pretty safe. And I thought, that's a good idea. Like, I don't think I ever would have done what I did if that girl in the jacuzzi hadn't said that. In the jacuzzi in her beachfront house in Kailua, because they were super rich, because they were getting a piece of everybody's pie, there was an agent under their flag, which is fine. I made a shit ton of money. The way that I did it was because of Asperger's. And I told this story to a doctor that's a Patreon, and he was like, man, what's the problem? Why are you fighting the reality? Like, why don't you just tell somebody once and then get it over with? Because people talk about it, but they don't want to touch it with you. I was seller's agent, and there's buyer's agent, seller's agent. And the thing is that when you sell real estate, what you really do as a real estate agent is you get the contract. You input that into MLS, which is a multiple listing system. You do an open house for your in-house buyer agents. So there are other agents that just represent buyers, and I was representing sellers exclusively. And you introduce them first. Now you think that's conflict. No, you just got to disclose that, and they sign and agree to it. If they get their 1.1 million, they don't care who gets the percentage on both sides. As long as it's disclosed, you do that. And then after you do that for your own agency, you do the public, you do the Hawaii Real Estate Magazine, you put it in, you do a nice picture. You tell them to get everything out of the house that doesn't need to be there. Do not leave any laundry anywhere. Nice smells. Get a bread machine. Bake some bread. After about the 1 hour mark, jet out. 1 hour before the open house comes, I might see you. And just make it look like that when the people come into the house, they can envision themselves being in that house. And if your stuff is in there too much, they'll feel like they got to get out of there. And the smell has to be something that's comfortable. So bread was what it was. And you'd be stunned how easily it is to psychologically manipulate people, even with that much money involved. And it happened. And then you would get a DROA, deposit receipt offer acceptance. And sometimes it would be a cash buy. Anyway, my shtick was to go in and tell these people. I was always the youngest person because I was 19 at the time, 18, and all these other people were in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, and they would, say, this is our company, we're going to do this, and they would never talk about the money that they would get, which is the commission for doing, like I said, putting it in a MLS system, doing an open house, sitting on your ass, sending in info to Hawaii Real Estate Magazine, and then sitting on your ass again for another open house, or calling them to discuss maybe that we lower the price because we're not getting any activity. And you're going to get a lot of money for, it ended up where per property I was clearing about $30,000 for a single property. It started around 5,000 to 8,000 because I was getting a lower percentage because I was new, and the further up you got in sales, the more of the pie you got. It was incentive to work hard, and I did, and I got the highest amount that would be allowed. And over the course of 5 years, I built up a stupid amount of money, and I invested it like it was suggested to, and it made my life what it is now. I bring up all that because as a YouTuber, I can put music in my videos because they demonetize me, but I don't need the money from that, even though that's about $600 a month when I did do that for about 2 months. And I thought, well, that's cool because it's just videos. And while I'm out playing with my girl, my chick, I'm making money. Like, that's cool. I'm not, but put music in the video and lose the money, or just leave it alone and make the money. Put the music in the video because it's all about the music and I don't need the money from that. My Patreon system, which is the coolest people, my Discord is dope. I'm going to lose money for the 4th month in a row when I do my next event because I don't generate enough income from Patreon as much as goes out, plus worldwide shipping, and I always pay for that myself because it makes community. And they're not here for the specials because it's random. I just happen to have gathered a bunch of really great people. So I can do what I do in a way that's different from most people in this hobby because you've got to play the game of glad handing with companies or being... Let me give you an example. And this is not an attack on anybody. The Susavara is a $6,000 headphone. the amount of people that can get that is smaller. The amount of reviews that are on the internet are not so many. And I checked them last night, and I realized that there was one guy that talked about Dire Straits, and then most of the other people didn't even talk about music, which for me blows my mind, because when I'm talking about stuff that costs $1,000, I feel an obligation. $50, whatever. It's just my style. So I got familiar with that, and I checked my mail yesterday, and I received 3 mails from 3 different people, and I think I know where one of them came from because it's a continuation of a discussion. And one of them was asking where I got the money to buy this. I just explained to you how I got that money. I worked my ass off, and I ate ramen every day because I don't know how to take breaks, pretty much. If you... this is unscripted. I'll stop this if I can right here. This is white cutouts from thin board painted white with little screws all around, so it simulates snow. It's basically a snow house. I do it by myself, and it takes an enormous amount of work, and I've got to do it in a very short amount of time. And I don't eat for all the days that I put this up. Lunch anyway. I might eat 1 meal, and it's a mentally taxing event because it's for the kids. And then somebody says, that's for malls, that balloon. Well, fuck, put it up. Let's be kick-ass. Let's have the most bonkers fucking display. There's nobody anywhere around here that does this. It's another manifestation of doing something from the morning into the evening and not stopping in between to even drink water. And then you get massive cramps and shit because it's how my brain works. I take the task and do it completely. That is not good when it comes to social stuff, and I have to do this by myself because nobody can ever work with me, because I instantly be like, what the fuck? Pick it up, dude. Or I'm not good with that. So I have to do it by myself, but that's fine because it's been most of my life where I work independently. Real estate agent just talked about. I do that myself pretty much. That I drive, I talk, I do, fit me perfectly, and the money was amazing. So I paid for this myself, dude. And I bought it because a lot of people said it's the top of the line. And if I'm going to give opinions about headphones, I've got to understand the reference point that people are talking about and saying this is great. I'm not going to bash it. I'm not here to do anything and crush your dreams. You don't need to tell me that there's some kind of that I'm going to. You predicted what the outcome of my review is going to be before I've even listened to them. That's how. And then you alluded to I have Asperger's, and there's people out there that know that, which is where the rant starts. Yes, I do have Asperger's, and let's take note of that for a second. I'm also one of the only people on YouTube that regularly and consistently talks about music in the evaluation of music gear. I'm the guy that talked about the Harman curve too much in a lot of people's mind, but I did point out, to the surprise of many, that it is a curve that is based on a survey of 249 people with an unknown number of EQ sliders, which is directly related to the creation of that shape. Now think about that for a second. If I have 10 EQ sliders, or if I have 8, that's going to make the results different because I have more options. I don't know what they did. It's difficult for me to accept that. That's my personal thing. I went off on it maybe a little too much. It's not a problem. If you believe in that, that's fine. When I see a sample size of 250 and then I see that 1 million headphones on average are sold per day, I want more. I want more effort if everybody's going to hold that as being the standard. And a lot of people that watched my video did not know that it was 249 people. I didn't either. And then as soon as I found out, I triggered and went into that. So I do the music. Nobody to this date, February 8th, 2021, regularly does what I do. And I don't get monetized because of that. I pay to do what I do. I lose money that I don't need because I've already made my money to show music samples and explain that listening to this thing, I'm not getting that. And now I've upped it to a spectrogram because I can isolate frequencies like bands between 500 and 1,000 hertz and actually show that in that song that this being emphasized or this being de-emphasized is resulting in what I'm hearing. So the vagaries don't exist with me, or if they do, I try to cut them out. The frequency graph having color highlights to indicate the sections was not amongst the YouTube community until I introduced it, because I look at a white thing and I need colors. It doesn't work for me, indicating how people do that and their different, frequency. And you have 5 or 6 people that you reasonably trust is better than you have one that you trust. So I'm not demeaning or diminishing what anybody else does, and I'm not putting myself up above anybody else, but I'm not going to have somebody sending me a mail implying or saying that I have Asperger's and other people know it, and that's some kind of problem. And no, that's actually a benefit, dude. It's a benefit in my life as far as making money, and it's a benefit in this hobby where this gear is supposed to play music, and I'm the guy talking about music and how it sounds through said gear and how I find it to be great or not great. And the Susvara that you seem to be so concerned about is going to be evaluated with music. And I'll fucking remind you, dude, that it is the first time that a set that was made fucking 2017 or 18 has ever been put under the scope using music, and it plays music. It's a fucking headphone. So fuck you, dude. Go ahead and tell everybody you want that I have Asperger's, because I just told everybody myself that I have it. I also have a beautiful, beautiful fiance who loves me and knows that I have it too and doesn't care, because it makes me who I am. I love animals. I love pets. I put up the star at the top of that tree that you can't see because it's too high. Maybe we can get it for a second. No, we can't. It's way up there. Anyway, that star's turned on the anniversary that she passed away 7 years ago, because I had her for such a long time. She was my daughter. And she died at 2:45 in the afternoon on the 22nd of November, and I turned that light on in the afternoon when nobody can see that it's on, because that's the moment for her. So it's overboard with everything and that kind of stuff. I don't trust people who lie. I don't trust a person that says to me, you know what, I had a fling with this girl, but don't tell my girlfriend, because I'm immediately thinking that if you lie to the person that you sleep with in bed, why would I expect a better treatment? It simply doesn't make practical sense that you would be more honest to me than you are to your own girlfriend. So I could never get into that. My girlfriend knows that I'm square as fuck about that stuff, so she trusts me 100%. I'd never fuck around on her. My brain can't handle the drama that would come with balancing two things, and it wouldn't work. So she got lucky. She got a handsome dude who can make money and is ill-equipped to deal with what comes along with the amusement park of emotions that I imagine, because I've never gotten into it, but when I just, it doesn't seem to make sense to me. So, and I'm lucky to have her because she's beautiful, she's honest, she's trustworthy in the same way for different reasons. She was raised by great parents, and she supported this hobby from the beginning when I said that I'm going to not use money except for money from within the hobby. And I've reached out now to get something like this thus far, because I want to get into headphones and I want to put this under the scope of audio, my audio. And again, I use music that you might not use, but I'd like you to please consider that instruments, while they are not exactly what you might listen to, if they're playing low frequencies and they're doing certain things, if you're a musician or if you're a really, really music lover, you know that you can extrapolate genuine, legit information from my utterings and apply it to any genre. I'm sorry that I don't speak about yours, but you can do better with this than perhaps other things like widths and heights and descriptions of graphs, or not. I'm not shading on anybody. And the purchase of the headphones was with my money, so fuck you, dude. Fuck 3 of you dudes. And the Asperger's dude, go ahead now. I guess you promoted or pushed me to go ahead and tell this story, but I guess it needed to be put out there. And if I lose subscribers because I said that I have that, then I guess that speaks more to the community than it does to me, because I'm the same person I was 2 weeks ago, and I will be in 2 weeks from now. So if that's not okay with you, see you later, pretty much. I'm going to keep doing audio reviews. I'm going to keep talking about music. I'm going to keep drilling down, as being as specific as I can, and I'm going to keep sticking to what I say. And when I'm wrong, I'll apologize. And I've done 2 videos where I've apologized to the public, because wrong is wrong. The only thing you can do is apologize and move on. To people that can't let go, it becomes their problem. And the people that are okay and normal, in my book, will be like, what's he going to do, sing and dance? He said he's sorry. I've made mistakes in the hobby and I've apologized for him. And that's it. Thank you for watching this rant. If you're a psychology student, you just got to look in that. For the psychology students, see if I can give you any more info. In social interactions, there's a feeling of superiority because you can judge people because you're not paying attention to anything except their actions, so you can kind of make observations socially of other people's posture, body language, eye contact, stuff that you look at in a way that others don't because they hesitate to make faux pas socially, where I actually don't care how. And so I've gotten a better ability than maybe most to evaluate people very quickly, and I've not been wrong really that I can tell, and I can see patterns in people like you can see patterns in a graph. So in working, there's people that work at NASA in Silicon Valley that have the same condition that I do, high functioning, maybe high IQ, and they do what they do at the highest levels because of who they are. And in a social environment, it can be difficult because there's a lack of concern for other people's feelings. And of course, in a social setting, that can become a problem. In the right situations for making money, it's absolutely outstanding. But in social aspects, it can be kind of debilitating because there's a genuine lack of ability to connect with people unless you're interested in doing so. And it's not an automatic like it is with most people, like you're talking with this person, so there must be some level of interest or concern. For me, there's really not. I'm interested or I'm not, and you being a person doesn't really guarantee that that will happen. So I guess I'll leave it at that. I'm out. Go ahead and put this up. Don't know if this is a good idea. Do it anyway. And I'm out.
Ripping shows live on stage for whole shell in my name. To be precise, ripping mics is the light of